If you haven't started revision yet, there is still time to improve your grades and achieve the grades that you want. Today I'm going to be explaining what I would do if I were in Year 11 to maximise my grades in the final few weeks if I hadn't started revising yet or hadn't started properly revising yet. I'm going to be providing as much help and practical advice as I can to those who haven't started their revision yet. Okay, please make sure you subscribe before I get into this and leave a like. I got all 9s at my GCSEs and my channel is just about trying to help as much as I can and give as much advice as I can. I also respond to all comments if you have any more specific questions. Okay, to get straight into this, the aim of your revision, if you haven't really started yet, should be you want to achieve as many. Do you ever get it when you're like revising and then you see something and you're like, oh, I know what that is, or like, oh, I remember that. The aim of your revision at the end, with as little time left, should pretty much be to maximize the amount of times you think, oh, I remember that, or like, oh yeah, I understand that now, or I get that, I remember that. It's all about trying to bring together your memory of things that you've learned in the past few months and years. And this is the most effective form of revision, is when something that is just in your head kind of comes back fresh into your head again and you like remember it. So if you're feeling that feeling and thinking like, oh, I remember this, I remember that, then that's really good. That should kind of be the aim, is to remind yourself, not necessarily learn new content, but there may be things you need to learn. But the more you can remind yourself of things and remember things like that, the more effective your revision will be. Don't use a textbook. That's the second piece of advice. Don't just sit down and read a textbook. You've got to be interacting with your revision in some way. So at least it should be someone talking to you about it, not just a textbook on paper, or you've got to be doing questions or flashcards or Seneca, anything like that. So do not just read a textbook the night before or read a textbook. I'd really not recommend that. They can be used for making flashcards and maybe for some bits of information, but I wouldn't recommend a textbook. So in my last video about kind of how I had revised in the last 2 weeks and stuff, I recommended that students don't neglect paper 2s and the upcoming papers that are like a month in advance or anything like that. But for people who haven't revised yet, your revision is going to be and probably should be much more cram based. So on the next few papers coming up, it should for everyone too, but yours should be more focused on the papers coming up. So this allows you to kind of just cram effectively and get everything as you can everything you can up until the paper that's coming up. So just bear that in mind as well. You should mainly be focusing on the upcoming papers and then use obviously the May half term to focus more on other stuff. This isn't what I'd recommend for students who've been revising for a lot longer, but I think this will be more effective for those who haven't started properly revising yet. Okay, next piece of advice is YouTube. So YouTube can be very, very useful. It was for me. For those doing science, everyone's doing science, but for those doing like videos where there's content on YouTube, subjects where there's content on YouTube, I would watch lots of YouTube videos too. So what I would do now if I were worried about science and stuff is watch all of the free science lessons videos, maybe on 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed, just so you can learn all of them, or like be reminded of everything that he talks about there and all the science content. So go through all of the free science lessons, maybe even the night before, but they are quite long. So in the week before each exam, I would aim in science to go through all of those videos, or maybe the 2 weeks before. Also, some videos that are helpful in the 2 nights before is videos that are like all of GCSE science in 2 hours. This kind of cram method can be effective. Maybe if you have a bit of paper, making a couple notes or just writing down things that you really need to remember, this could be useful too. So what I would do is 1 night before the exam and 2 nights before the exam, I would watch the same video on all of GCSE chemistry paper 1 in 2 hours or something like that. I could try to find some and put them in the description, and then I'd watch it the night before the exam, and this just gives you, like I said, a cram. It crams everything in. So YouTube can be effective, but don't spend too much time on YouTube because it's a bit more passive vision than you engaging and interacting with it. You can also watch entire paper walkthroughs on English or even science. That would be helpful too. Okay, for those that are doing humanities, so history, geography, even English literature, what I would do is look at potential questions. Your revision should be quite question-based at this point. So ask your teacher for a list of possible history questions or a list of possible English literature questions for each story that you do, and think. Just have a think before the exam and have a think in the weeks up to it and stuff. So that from now basically until the exams, like what would I answer for this? What would I answer for this? And the more you look at these and think about them and maybe think, okay, this question I'm terrible at, so I need to go and revise this. You're thinking more exam focused. It's less like crazy content that may not be relevant. You've got to target your revision on questions that could come up and things like that. So that's what I'd recommend as well, is take a look at some potential questions that could come up and think about what you would answer. Maybe jot down a couple notes for each. This method will actually be effective for everyone, but for students that haven't revised yet, it's also effective because chances are that a lot of those predicted questions will come up in the exam, and you have a bit more of a chance of actually achieving them if you've thought about them previously and doing well in them. Another thing as well I would do is I would use Quizlet or something like that to create a crammed set of flashcards. To this, I would add key dates and key facts and key quotes, just the really key things that you can use in lots and lots of questions and essays. So look for versatile quotes that you could talk about, for example, in Macbeth, ones that you could talk about, maybe Macbeth, even fit Lady Macbeth into it, or things like power and all that kind of themes in the plays too. So look for versatile quotes, look for versatile facts in history. What things crop up a lot, key dates as well, key individuals, anything like that could be useful. So really try to focus on the key facts, figures, individuals and dates, and then also focus these on the practice questions that I've talked about that you should ask your teacher or look online for a list of. That's really useful because it allows you to keep the exam in mind, and then you can go through these flashcards daily, these key flashcards. You have time, I think, to learn probably between 10 and 50 very key small facts and stuff like that on Quizlet if you repeat it daily and regularly. So I'd recommend that as well. On daily as well, daily maths, Corbett maths. I've recommended this loads on my channel, but you should be doing daily maths. This just allows you to cover a lot of maths. So Corbett maths 5 a day is what I recommend. Go onto the website, which I'll link in the description, pick out one of the, so it does Foundation, Foundation Plus, whatever grade you're aiming for, and complete those questions daily, and then mark them as well. Anything you get wrong, just watch a YouTube video on, or try and work out where you went wrong. This is really helpful as well, because what this does is it just means you're getting daily maths in. Like your memory should be coming back to you. You'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this question, I remember that. And if you do that from now until all your maths exams, that is going to be really helpful for that last bit of revision. Seneca as well. So Seneca I would recommend for sciences in particular, but for history, anything, it's really useful. Seneca for me was really useful for science, for that recap and those moments that I talked about, those, oh yeah, I remember those, stuff like that. So what I would do, probably you don't have time to complete all of the Seneca now, but what I would do is I'd look at a key topic, so maybe chemistry topic 2, and think, which topic am I the worst at? Which topic do I not know at all? And you've got to do the Seneca for that topic. So maybe try to do Seneca every other day, a Seneca every day, something like that, a key topic. Seneca should take up quite a lot, and I'd really recommend it for that cram and for that knowledge building. It's good for history too, stuff like that. So look at Seneca, prioritize your key topics and work through it. Sit down and work through it. Finally, my final piece of advice is actually revise. I get people saying, that, oh, they're procrastinating watching these videos, and it's very easy to procrastinate and watch YouTube videos on how to revise and stuff, but the best advice I could possibly give you is to go away and revise. These videos can be useful to learning how to revise, stuff like that, but the ultimate ideal is that you're able to revise quite independently. So my final advice is go away and actually revise, actually put the work in and do what I've suggested. Leave any comments if you need, and this will work for you. There is time. I've done videos on stress, I've done videos on lots of other subjects as well if you want a bit more specific detail, but there's definitely time to improve your grades. Now is the best time to revise actually, because it's close to the exams, so everything you revise should be fresh in your head. I hope that was really helpful and provided a lot of practical advice. Leave any comments down below for any more video suggestions, and I will make sure I try and do them. Thank you very much for watching.